what's up, everyone? Welcome to Chicks and Salsa. I am Megan Price, and up top I have Jen Matthews Lewis next to me. At the bottom, we have Carrie Johnson and Candy Ebling. Hi, ladies. How's your week going?
It's going
pretty good. I have one more day of work, and I'm off for 2 days.
Very excited.
I might be a little anxious and excited. I'm going to the draft.
Oh,
I
am happy.
I don't like you anymore. I was supposed to be there.
Well, so you're going as a fan, correct?
Yes,
I am.
Well, talk to us about before we get
certified.
So how are the tickets set up? What are the events set up like, and how does it work?
From what I can tell, and we're going to try to go down and scope out a little bit, but where they're doing the draft is the same place where they did our celebration for the championship, and so that's all open. I feel like they're going to set up like they do the rally for Super Bowl win, and that's where they set the stage in front of the Union Station, and then it's all open field around and around the World War II Memorial, and there's stuff that they've got stuff going in that building. They've got stuff going in Union Station. So there's things live events that you can get into, but I think the entire draft is going to be there, from what I understand.
And so are you going to go? How many days are you going? Are you just going for the first round, or what's your plan?
Right. We originally were going to go up Thursday and stay through Friday, but plans change. My son and his best friend both are in management for Domino's, and so they both will have to work Friday. One has to open a store, and one will have to be in the mid shift. So we're going to come back Thursday night, but they're night owls, so they can sleep. I can sleep, and they can drive. So
okay.
My son is normally up till 6, so a.m. not p.m.
I used to be able to do that.
There was a time. There was a time in my life. Not
Candy
now, for sure.
She doesn't even sleep in her own bed 90% of the year.
Right.
Or weekends.
Yeah. I was going to say my day job wouldn't agree with that, but yes.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I said that wrong.
That's okay. It's all good.
So as y'all know, I'm a Cowboys fan. Jen is obviously a Panthers fan. Carrie is a Chiefs fan, obviously, and then Candy is a Packers fan. So we are going to kind of go through our wish list for our own personal teams. Whoever wants to start off.
I'm going to make a really quick prediction. The Miami Dolphins are not picking anybody in the first round. Sorry.
That's probably
it's not a prediction if it's a fact.
Right.
Oh, that's right. But see, I'm 1 for 1 right now on my draft picks.
Unless we change all of our picks to our number 1 pick to Miami.
All right. Well, Candy, why don't you start us off, and then we'll go around that way.
Well, let's face it. My team pulled off one of a very big trade for this offseason. I mean, we all kind of knew it was coming. The writing was on the wall. The writing's been on the wall since we drafted Love, because let's face it, we bruised Aaron Rodgers' ego with drafting his replacement. Surprise, surprise, Aaron, you're not going to be in your position forever. But so we did that a couple years ago, and we decided, we needed to draft his replacement. He was drafted to replace Brett Favre. It happens, but he waffled the last 2 years, whether he was going to play or not play, retire or not. How does a team build around a quarterback that's doing that? Right. And so we decided, you know what? We wanted to see what we have in Love. It's time he gets his chance. Last year, we just didn't play as well. I mean, we had a chance to go to the playoffs, and look, we lost, and no offense to the Detroit Lions, who are up and rising team, But so from there, we decided to trade our coveted MVP Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets No surprise. Everybody's heard that. With that trade, we also moved up a little bit in the draft. We were going to get the 15th pick. Now we have the 13th pick. I think it's going to be we're going to stick it to Aaron Rodgers. I honestly think we're going to draft a wide receiver or a tight end, which is what he's always wanted, is us to draft that position in the first. But I think we will, because we lost Alan Lazard, and that's a big loss for us. So I really think we need a wide receiver, but I really think we need a good tight end too.
Okay.
So I really think we're going to do that. We might go defensive. There are a couple of people out there that could definitely bolster our defense. I've always thought our offensive line never stays healthy. Mm-hmm. But I mean, pretty much everybody could say that. I think every team, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So. Is there anybody like particular, like that you have a name picked out that you're like, hey, this person really piqued my interest and I think they'd be great for my team?
You know,
or did you just think position?
No, I've been looking around, and I think there was, there's a guy, what is his name? I'm trying to think he played, his grandfather is actually in Green Bay's Hall of Fame. I'm trying to think of what his name is. He played for, is it Northwestern? I have to look that up. I'll get back.
What position? What position does he play?
I thought I had seen he played, he was a wide receiver or a tight end, but let me see. Let me see if I can get that name out, because I know they were talking about it only because it would be like a favorite, because his grandfather was a Hall of Famer with the Packers. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they were talking about him. Yeah.
Okay, well, while you look that up, one of you other ladies want to go? Jen, you want to go?
Sure, I can go. Whoever. All right. I actually have picked our 6 people.
Okay.
So, obviously, my hope is that we do not actually draft a quarterback this year. I do not think it's the right year to draft a quarterback. However, everybody's all up on Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I will say, I don't trust Nick Saban or Day to be able to coach a quarterback, prepare a quarterback to play at a high elite level in the NFL. I don't know if it's because they make them uncoachable or what. That's just my humble opinion. But look at stats for the last 5 out of each school. Technically, Ohio State only has 4 that have been worth anything. So here's mine. If we do draft, I agree with you, Lindsay. And what up, girl? I miss you guys. Anyway, Lindsay is our Tennessee fan, just so you know.
Okay.
So she's a huge UT fan. And so I think if we have to draft one this year, it will be Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. But because a couple of weeks ago, Thomas Davis came out and said that we were going to be very shocked at who we pick. So that had me thinking Thomas Davis went to Georgia and the Wolves. And I have been thinking that there's a good chance we're going to get Jalen Carter. Now, Jalen Carter was involved in the car accident after the Bulldogs won. He's gone through some psychological trauma, but I've wondered if we're not going to draft him because we do need another D lineman, at least to start learning from Shaq and all of that. The other position we really need, because JC Horn, spectacular when healthy.
Right.
But TCU from your state, Megan, Travarius Hodges Tomlinson as a cornerback is a position we need. We also need another wide receiver. No, I got a little crush on this one.
Hey, Tyler, thanks for letting us know that. Candy, he found it. It was Peter Skoronsky from Northwestern. Yes, I did not get that last name right, but
Skoronsky.
Yep. All right.
Josh Downs.
Okay.
And then I've also got Broderick Jones as an offensive tackle, who's swing tackle. because we really do need to get one more offensive tackle on our O-line. Another position we need really filled hardcore is another tight end. I like Kenmore Gamble. I don't know why, like, for some reason, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Greg Olson. And Greg Olson played the best football of his career in Carolina. So I don't know why. I may be completely off base. And my desire not to draft a quarterback may be coloring my opinions on things, but I've stood by for the last 3 years that I don't like Alabama or Ohio State quarterbacks. So I will continue to stand by that.
Okay. Carrie.
My dog just disagrees apparently with what you just said because she just. All right, so the three places that I think that we're going to be looking at least for our first round, will be the running back because we're really light in our running back room at the moment. Wide receiver and offensive tackle. So everybody and their brother wants Bijan Robinson, and if he lasts before the 10th round, I mean that'd be really surprising. But we don't have a pick till the 31, so
Right.
I guess I can safely say he will not be a Chief. But
Right.
Ironically, I like his back or the second behind Bijan, which is Roshan Johnson.
He's good.
Because the thing that the stat that jumped out at me was 85 broken tackles on 189 attempts. We know that our offense is pretty targeted a lot. I mean, the Chiefs everybody's trying to shut us down. They think they have our roadmap. But I'm thinking if we can get some people that can shake off and break tackles, that's a great addition. We have to replace Juju and McCole. And I said first one we ought to take is Jackson Smith and Jabba, because we have all the hyphenated names on our team at one point. So, obvious pick. He needs to be a part of the hyphenated team. But all jokes aside, Josh Downs can get open routes and is hard to tackle after the 5 yards. He's hard to get tackled. Again, a spot that we would be really beneficial to our team. And we obviously have to replace Orlando Brown. And the one that I've been stuck on this because Creed Humphreys came from Oklahoma. Anton Harrison is from Oklahoma and played 1 year with Creed. So there might be, I don't know. I mean, this is speculation, but I'm wondering if there isn't some chemistry already there. And so you put him over there on the line with Creed, who's already played a year with him. It might be able to get him put into the scheme quicker and get him molded, into the spot easier because he did have the previous time with Creed. Those are the three that jumped out at me. We have 7 picks. I'm fairly certain that if we get one of these, it would be awesome. But I really think we're going to be looking at running backs, wide receivers, and offensive tackle to get. We only have 4 running backs, I think, right now on the team. So our running back room is very, very svelte. It needs to be bolstered. So I'm anticipating that. But those they usually pick, we picked up Sky Moore in round 7. So Pacheco, I think, was 7, maybe 6 late rounds. And Pacheco is a fantastic pick. Every year we have a lot of players that were the 7th round pick that fit perfectly into our scheme. So I anticipate the lower draft classes are going to be people that we are not on the radar that definitely has caught Andy's eye at some point.
Okay. Obviously, I'm just like everybody else. If we could somehow move up in the draft and get Bijan Robinson, I feel like, obviously we have some holes to fill in our running back position. Pollard had surgery. He should be ready by the beginning of the season. Maybe not. A couple of weeks into it, we expect to see him. But somebody coming off an injury like that, you always kind of want to give them some cushion, and maybe they don't need to be the number 1 receiver right after injury. Like you want them to kind of come back and have a little cushion and feel comfortable in the amount of time that they have to come back. So if we could do that and just magically get Bijan Robinson, that would be awesome. But we're back at the 26th pick, so I'm not sure. I mean, I was telling the ladies this before. You just never know what Jerry's going to do. So I just, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Sorry.
Even with our insiders, like we have a lady that is a Shireen Williams. She's the only lady that's on the Hall of Fame voting committee. And she's an insider for the Cowboys. Well, she calls into the radio show every now and then. And she really doesn't even know exactly what we're going to do. As a fan and what I see, obviously, yeah, we have some holes in our running back position, but I think that we could get a good running back maybe in round 2 or round 3 that is still really good. I would rather focus on protecting Dak, an offensive tackle or guard, something along those lines, another center. We used to have the best O-line in the game, and now they're older. They're missing a couple of steps. I love Zach Martin to death. He'll forever be a Cowboy forever. He's getting older. It just is what it is, you know? So I would want to be able to protect Dak and give him a little more time in the pocket till he can be sure of his throws. Obviously, we are critical of the interceptions that he had last year. So, yeah, I agree, Rudy. I did not like letting Zeke go, to be perfectly honest. I think Zeke really wanted to be a Cowboy and probably would have done – they probably could have worked on some type of compromise for him to stay, whether restructure or whatever he needed to do. While I agree with what Jerry said in the press conference yesterday about we have a coaching problem, I don't like how it was handled. If you know that Dan Quinn is probably your guy, because it kind of looks that way now, you know, it looks like there's something in because he won't even take interviews because of he's had several head coaching offers and he hasn't even taken those interviews since he's been in Dallas. So to me, that kind of says like, hey, you know, once we move on from Mike, you're our guy. And so if you feel that way and you have the Joneses money, why would you not just cut Mike loose and move on, you know, instead of making him a scapegoat? And, you know, they do that very often with coaches, and they like to make them the scapegoat. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like Mike McCarthy as our head coach. I don't think he's that guy for us. But and this is why I don't like the release of Zeke, because I don't think we had a ton of problems with Zeke before McCarthy got there. McCarthy had argued that Zeke is the best running back of McCarthy's career, and I feel like he kind of broke him. But as the leader, which Jerry is, he's our GM and our owner, I think it starts at the top. So you're talking about coaching isn't great. I mean, you hired him. You're keeping him in place. You're the leader. And now you're outing him in a press conference. So I didn't like how that was handled. Now, if we can't get an offensive tackle or something along those lines, I've seen in a couple of drafts they have us taking a defensive tackle in the first round. Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh, and then us taking Tank Bigsby from Auburn in the 3rd round. And I would kind of like that. I would like that. I know, Rudy, but my opinion, I like us with a 2 running back system, similar to what Cleveland did with Hunt and Chubb. Like, I felt like that was very successful for them. And for us, I think that's great because you can always fall back on that. If Dak is throwing interceptions, you can just fall back onto your run game. So I felt like I thought they were a great 1-2 punch together. Pollard is a completely different type of running back than Zeke is. Zeke is your workhorse. He gets you 1-2 yards in a possession and pushes through, where Pollard is your explosive type. He'll get you 10 yards because he's so fast. Is he going to be that fast after this injury? We don't know. You know, lots of question marks. I see a lot of people talking about we need to take a tight end in the 1st round. I don't agree with it. I think we really, really lucked up drafting tight ends over the last couple of seasons. We have Hendershot and Ferguson. And so when Jarwin was hurt last year, both of those played really, really well. And losing Jarwin to me it wasn't that big of a loss because we were already using Hendershot and Ferguson. So we shall see. But I don't think I would not reach for a tight end in this draft. I would not.
And I will actually back you on having a dual running back run game, because when we had Smash and Dash a couple of years ago, like honestly, that was some really fun football to watch.
Right.
And that was J-Stu and D'Angelo Williams. I mean, that was just fun football. Like
it is. And I yelled it was Schultz that we lost, not Jarwin. Yes, you're right, Rudy. But the thing about that is I don't want to take, I'm talking about first 2 rounds. I don't want to take a tight end in the first 2 rounds. I think you focus on beefing your O-line back up, protect your quarterback. I don't think anything else. I don't think there's another common rule that every team has to follow. Protect your quarterback. Like that's always a part of the game plan. It doesn't matter where you're at. And so, I mean, if you can trade up and get one of these offensive tackles, or trade up that is really high up in the draft, or trade up and get Bijan, do it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what is the most, you were talking about running back. We do running back by committee in Kansas City. And what's one of the most explosive or the most exciting teams to watch at times when you don't know who's going to be the target of the play.
Right.
It makes it, I think that's what I like most about Kansas City's offense is that, okay, Kelsey's a given.
Mahomes is what you like most about Kansas City's offense.
Well, come on now, Kelsey.
Sorry,
truth be said, I was so mad when we got Mahomes because I was a big Alex Smith fan. But
I was mad when we got Cam Newton.
Well, and I'll be honest, like I don't even know what we do in the first round that could be a bad move. If we drafted a backup quarterback, I don't think that would necessarily be a bad move. If we take it in at 26, then yeah, that's not necessarily a bad move. I don't know if there's anything at the 26th pick that I'd be like, oh, that's a bad move. Like, we could use another linebacker. That's cool. We could use a defensive tackle. I mean, that's cool too. We could use another backup quarterback. So I don't know. This year, it's kind of weird. Like there were glaring deficiencies that we needed to address in our defense in the last few years. So it was obvious who we should draft. This year, not so much. It's like, we need backups everywhere.
Let's face it. I mean, the Packers have 10 picks between rounds 1 through 7. But let's face it. The pick last year, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Look how well he did. Like you can get quality people for your system, and it doesn't have to be in the first round.
Tom Brady went 6.
Tom Brady, right? Like,
so I wrote down Mr. Irrelevant, and Houston will have Mr. Irrelevant this year. And what do you think? I was like, wonder what position that's going to be, and I was going to ask for prediction. It's really funny that you brought that up. Sorry.
No, but it's true. Like, I think you have to look at the depth of what you need as a team, but you also have to look at the depth of the draft. Like, what positions are really, really successful? Like, or do you think are really there's a lot of depth to that position in this draft? Because now they're saying, from what I've heard, like next year the quarterbacks aren't going to be there in the draft. Like, so it'll be interesting. And I'm not sure
that is one thing.
They're there this year.
Like no, and that's what I'm
saying. Around so many quarterbacks, they are not all going to succeed.
Right.
I mean, and that's why I'm very hesitant on drafting a quarterback.
Right.
In the first round. I mean, I just am.
Well, and I don't know that Green Bay is done with their moves because let's face it, we really kind of need
my question, Tyler.
We kind of need a backup quarterback. Like
I would take another cornerback. That's a good point, Tyler, right there. I would take another quarterback first round too. Just kind of where we are in the draft. I don't know if there's a wrong pick that Jerry could actually make. And that's strange to say because he finds a way to mess things up a lot. But I don't think there's really even a position that he could take right now that I would be really that upset about. Not being 26th in the draft. Like, all right, you're not really reaching for anything. Now, if you trade up for Bryce Young, I am just going to flip everything over in my house.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and Tyler, that was the question. Thank you for answering the question. I did not actually ask out loud yet because I was going to ask what everybody thought this draft class had the most of. I don't think it's quarterbacks. I really don't.
There's
a lot of running backs and then cornerbacks as well. So
yeah, I would say their quarterbacks are much improved. This quarterback class is much improved over last year, in my opinion. So like there's more Mahomes-esque in the fact that they're flash. They have that following. They have the Garner. They have the ability to make the big explosive plays, but they also have do the meat and potatoes type stuff too. I feel like this year's quarterbacks are better offerings than what it was last year. But that being said, I don't know. I'm glad that we're not quarterback shopping. I'll be really honest.
I'm just not that impressed. Like out of all of them, I would take Richardson. But
I think I would take Levis. I mean,
but honestly, that's what Phil Jones thinks we're gonna take, and then the Vegas Alton's like, oh, that's just some sports book trying to make money. He may be right, but today Vegas came out with 2-1 odds that we're gonna take Levis. And we have gone to see him play a couple of different times under different head coaches with the same recruit scouting staff. And then, like in the last week, they've said that we're going to be surprised and that it's taken the coaches longer to get used to who we're going to draft. That's key.
I would be so nervous if I was you. Like, well, I mean, yeah, be as nervous as
I don't care. I'm not going to get the quarterback I want.
Every draft, I'm always nervous. Like, what is he going to do now?
Yeah.
So.
Well, see, and then we signed 7 of our 8 picks last year.
Okay.
7 of the 8 draftees.
Wow.
Were given contracts. So Veach, Reed, Hunt all do really well with drafting. So I really don't, I don't have anything I don't really have complaints. Like I said, I was not behind the Mahomes thing. I'll just play temporary insanity. But I was really an Alex Smith fan.
Well, no, I think having someone like Alex Smith and knowing how good he was when he was with you guys, and before everything happened, I don't know that I would be sold on drafting a quarterback from Texas Tech. They're not known for quarterbacks right there. So even though he had a good college career, does that translate? I mean, the greatest college quarterback of all time, in my opinion, Tim Tebow, didn't translate to the pros. So there's no guarantee in that, So I don't know that I would fault myself, Carrie, for not being on board for Mahomes right off the bat,
Well, the first time I heard his voice, I was like, oh, please give him a voice coach.
A voice coach. Carrie. So we like to end on a happy topic. Jen, you want to talk about this one?
Yes. So, my good friend Tina Lucky, I've known Tina for about 23 years now, and she is that person in your life. If we all have one that just makes you a better person simply by knowing them. That's Tina for me. Okay. She's amazing. I actually want to have her on the show one night. But she sent me a message on LinkedIn and she was like, hey, is this legit? And I was like, I don't know. Let me Google it. It's legit. So hats off to the LA Dodgers because they have been, I don't know if y'all remember a pretty big, like he wasn't a superstar, but he was on the path to being a superstar, Andrew Tolles. He hasn't actually played for the Dodgers since September 30th, 2018. Sorry, I'm staring at my other computer, my other screen. But, and he'd hit .364 in the 2016 postseason for the Dodgers. He was off to a solid start in 2017 when he tore his anterior cruciate ligament, however you say that. Anyone can correct me, it's fine. While sliding into the wall trying to get a catch. And he missed the rest of that season, but he returned in 2018 playing 17 games.
Right.
However, in 2019, he wasn't at spring training and he eventually announced that he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. In 2020, Toles was found sleeping behind Key West International Airport in Florida.
Goodness.
And I'm not even like the biggest baseball fan, but this one like hit home. And as soon as like I started reading the story, it reminded me of the basketball player that Mark Cuban went and got.
Delonte West.
And so what the Dodgers have done, they keep re-signing him every year.
Oh.
To a minimal contract just so he can keep his benefits. I love that.
Right.
I love that because we don't do enough. Like one of my good friends works in mental health. He loves helping people. My mom was a guidance counselor. She got into it to help people, not to write all the college references she did, but she did it. But I just think this is amazing. He's in the care of his dad, Alvin Toles. And just hats off to you because it is a struggle. I don't know if y'all have ever met anybody who's battled with, mental illness or not, but I love that some owners are out there who give a crap.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
And I love that. Like Cuban, like owners of the Dodgers, they don't have to do that.
Right. And when Cuban, he went and did it himself, like went and picked him up literally himself.
Yeah. Across the country.
He didn't send somebody to go get him or anything like that. I really respected that too. Kind of reminds me of, when COVID hit, the WNBA didn't allow, didn't allow Deladon they were not going to let her play because she has continual Lyme disease. So she contracted Lyme disease in high school and she just was not going to be able to play. They couldn't take the liability of her getting sick. And so Washington decides to go ahead and keep her on the roster. And as you know, a basketball team, 12 roster spots. That's it. That's all. They kept her a roster spot right there and paid her regardless because she wasn't going to make any money.
That's awesome.
Right. Yeah. So
I love it.
I wonder if there's more of that happening. If you think about, and I'm glad that it's been brought out when I say this, that I know that all four of us in the screen have done things for others without needing the fanfare, without doing it because it was the right thing to do. You had the ability to, and you didn't take a picture. You didn't broadcast on social media. You didn't make a big deal out of it. I'm wondering how many sports teams, you want to peek in and say hi? Oh, that have
hi, Rob,
that have stepped up to do this, but are choosing to keep that as something that's close to the heart, as it's the right thing to do, as opposed to it needs to be made. Again, not to downplay this because it's awesome. I'm glad to know that it's out there. But I wonder how much we just don't know about that people are being taken care of on the backside.
Oh, I think there's a lot because honestly, with this situation, Alvin Toles, the dad, is the one who announced it. Plus, you can go and look up who's on the roster. So
yeah. Definitely. So, well, Dom, yes, we did already go over our picks. We are now 34 minutes into the show. So we are going to let you guys go.
Another podcast.
Right. We appreciate y'all tuning in, chiming in, commenting, sharing, watching every Tuesday. We will be back next week as well. We will go over the draft picks that happened this week. And happy draft week, NFL fans. We'll see you back next week.
Enjoy.
Interrupting you, Megan. I didn't mean to.